Good morning, Sunday morning. Derby Jack here, cup of coffee. I don't know if anybody realizes, if you heard about it, y'all remember Bob Barker, okay? Talk show, well, not talk show, game show host and stuff. Wheel of Fortune or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, I don't remember the games. But there's one thing I remember about, I remember recently hearing about him, about when he died, right, just recently. But Bob Barker died fearful. He was afraid of dying. This is what was come out about, his sort of last message while he was dying in bed. He was afraid. He didn't know where he was going to go, and didn't know. And as far as I'm concerned, for a person to even think that at the end of their life, it just goes to show that they don't know God. So many people are so afraid of dying, and that's why the Word tells us, are you afraid of dying in this life? Because if you are, then you will lose your life in the next life. I want to read this from chapter 5 of James. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is kindred, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord. Sabbath. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth, and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts, as in the day of slaughter. Ye have condemned, and killed the just, and he hath not resist you. Reason I was reading that particular part is because it brings me to mind people like Bob Barker, people in the world, kings, people who are rich. You know what? All the people that are doing the things they're doing to us, all these possessed people, all these people in high places, all these people who are part of the bloodlines, Nephilim, passed down, in their human state, they fear. They fear death. And see, Satan hates that about us, that when you become faithful and you receive the power of the Holy Spirit, that you can defy fear of death. And he can't stand that, because if you're defying fear of death, you're defying him. And you're also defying the possibility of getting your soul taken by him, because your armor is on. And the last thing he wants is for a Christian to put the armor on, especially at the end of their life. What he wants to do is to break your resolve, to where little by little, as you're getting older, the armor comes off. You take off the breastplate because it's too heavy. You're at the end of your life. You put down the sword. But see, people like Bob Barker, he was already lost. He went through his life. Nice guy. Never met him. If you ever watched at the show, that he very nice guy. He's ever been on TV, did commercials and all. It's not that the man was a bad man. It's just that he didn't know God. So what happens in the end? Before he dies, he was living in fear of dying, which is supposed to be part of life. And see, when the Word tells us, love not the world, do not have the love of the world in your heart, the love of life in this world. Your purpose in your mindset is supposed to be training. You're training yourself to go through this life to the next, to get through all the crap that goes on in this world. You don't want to stay. You don't want to collect the things of the world. Because what does it say here? This is what makes me think that that's how Bob Barker was in his deathbed. He wept. I have all of this. All the things that I have around me. All the people that worked with me and worked for me. I have to let it go. And I don't want to let it go because I don't know where I'm going. So for any man or woman who are going and facing death, if you're living in fear and you say you're a Christian, you're defying God. If you're in fear of your death because you don't know where you're going, then you never knew God in the first place. And I'm talking to many of you Christians. Many Christians out there are afraid of death. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to, say that you should drive your car into a wall or take a gun and shoot yourself in the head. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about if you're ever facing the possibility of death, even through all the pain and the torment of a slow dying body, or even at the quick death, maybe somebody did rob you and you got shot and you're bleeding out. What is on your heart? Is the Lord comforting you? Is the Lord strengthening you? Is the Lord ready to take you? Or are you alone? And all you see at the end of your life is a reaper. I have a song about that. And in it, it's about a friend of mine who had died of cancer. And the song is called Slipping Away. And all you could think about in the song, you can find it, it's on my music channel. Slipping away, slipping away. And that's all he could think about was like, I have to leave behind all the things that I left behind, my family, my friends. All the projects I began but were never able to finish. It's all left behind. And all I can hope is that my family and friends will remember me and talk about me as if I was there. So this is paraphrasing what the song says. But at the end, all he seen was the reaper. And he says, life is slipping away. When your time comes, whether it's because you're sick in bed, dying of some type of illness, and as we all know right now, they're getting ready to bring back the crap that they did to us 4 or 5 years ago, right? They're bringing it all back again. Carhu, the face tampons and all. What do you think that brings? Fear. People will be living in fear again. Propagated fear. Not real fear, propagated. Because of ignorance. And because of lying. They're going to be lying to us like they had been lying to us for the last 4 years. Telling us about this and telling us to roll up our sleeves and we have to wear this and 6 feet from each other. And it's a propagated lie from hell. And yet, many people, many Christians will fall for it again. Many people have never even stopped falling for it. Even when the tampon faces were able to come off, they couldn't do it because they were in fear, afraid. They got old people so afraid of breathing, afraid of moving, afraid of doing anything. And what kind of life is that for a person in their old age? But see, this is why Satan hates so much. And when you recognize how much Satan hates, he's going to do everything he can to dismantle your faith, dismantle your heart, and dismantle your resolve. So I would say that when you're ready to go, when you're ready to die, you got to die without having a heavy heart. You can't have a heavy heart when you die as a Christian. Your heart is supposed to be, when it's time to go, your heart right then and there is ready. Your heart is ready for the change. Your heart is ready for the miraculous spiritual manifestation. And that is that when you die, is that moment when everything stops, your heart and everything, you will open up your eyes again in a different form, in a different way. Can't even explain to you how it's going to be. All I could say is this. That's when you're either truly fearful or not. Understand, if you're not going to be going to heaven when you're resurrected, you're going to know. And I have a belief system in my heart about when you die and go to heaven, everything in this world is left behind. You're not remembering, your time with grandma and grandpa and all that. No. It's gone. You have to separate the sin. And all you know is that you did well. And then now you're here to worship God forever and ever. Right? But see, there are going to be those people that when they're resurrected again, they know they'll be left with the memories. They will go to their hell with those memories. That's what I think the difference is. They have laden hearts of fear. But a Christian, their fear should be minimal. Almost like nothing. Ready for the next adventure. Ready for the next plateau. Ready for the next page to turn. Ready to be for the book of life to be open with their name in it. They're not holding on. But see, when you die, you people who are unfaithful, you people who are fearful, you people who do not believe in God, you Christians who have failed God because you believed in the world more, you trusted in the world more, you loved the world more, you will remember when you awaken, changed, you will know where you're going. And you will fear. So, whatever type of heart you're going to have then, I don't want to wake up and have those memories. I don't want to wake up and live in fear. So, I just wanted to bring that out. Now, I'm working on a teaching, and I will be coming out maybe later on today. And it has to do about the Chosen movie. I was on board in the beginning. I watched the first 2 seasons. But there were some problems and discrepancies that bothered me, and I've been watching people who talk about it. Dallas Jenkins, who's the producer of it, has a lot of spiritual problems. A lot of spiritual problems. The set and everything about the whole movie is more Hollywood than it is anything else. And there's a deception there. And the Jesus that is being portrayed is not the Jesus in the scripture. No matter how much you want to think of it is. And I remember one thing that Jenkins had stated, that they do things different. They have little mottos on their shirts. We think differently. We're outside of the box, or whatever the case is. All these little sayings is that he ad-libs more. And one thing that he had stated, which really got me, it's like a good 90% of the show of Chosen, the movie, okay, the series. He said a good 90% of it is unbiblical. That's a hell of a thing to say about a show about Jesus. So I just, I will say one thing. I do I do know about watching movies about Jesus and how I never liked them portraying him as being unresponsive, being or he walks on water and a glow about him, and he's walking up to the fishermen and telling them, to follow me, and they're like blindly, oh, we'll follow. That's one thing I didn't like, and I almost fell in that trap about what they were doing in the show, where they'd ad-lib some things that really wasn't biblical or really had nothing to do with the storyline itself, but they were trying to stretch it out. And I really can't go into it now because I'm going to be teaching this later. But just understand, if you are a person who's watching the series, or somebody who's watching the series of Chosen, understand it's deception. It isn't the Jesus you think it is, or he isn't. Especially when you find out who Jonathan Romy, who plays Jesus, is, and a few other little tidbits that a lot of people wouldn't believe, but are true. So anyway, be prepared for that. I will let you know when I'm ready to do that. And I don't know if I'm going to go live on that. I'll just record it and go from there. But yeah. So anyway, keep me in prayer. I'm still going through some problems right now, and I got in a fender bender on Friday. I'm backing out of this place where I go to a restaurant, and this guy's car, I looked back, didn't see him, and I banged into it. He's getting ready to go out to the road, waiting for the car. I looked back, didn't see him. He somehow swerved behind me, I don't know how, in this big parking lot, but it was my fault. And plus, isn't it funny how Satan works? I've just had my car insurance canceled because I wasn't able to pay the bill on time. And now I got to get more car insurance, and I have to wait till I get the money on that. And they wouldn't wait and wouldn't give me an extra amount of time to pay it. And so this guy was real good, realized he seen the back of my car and realized that I do ministry, and his father was a minister. So, let's keep this in prayer. He didn't call the police. We didn't have to go through all that, because with my insurance being expired, they would have taken the vehicle. And I'm not trying to do anything illegal. Believe me, I'm not. That's why when I do drive, I'm trying to keep short spurts. I don't want to get in these type of situations and things like that. So, I'm trying my best to do things the way they're supposed to be done. But sometimes, I'm not trying to compromise. And if it seems like I am, believe me, I'm doing my best not to. So it's a matter of, I know what's right and what's wrong. And that's another thing, is realizing what is right and wrong. I don't want to talk myself into doing things that are wrong when I know they are. And you can't do that to yourself. That's lying to God. It's lying to yourself. And if you're going to be honest with God, you got to be honest with you. Because if you're not honest with you, you're never going to be honest with God. Keep that in mind, So anyway, keep my circumstances in prayer, and keep praying for people in Maui. Now there's more fires raging around this country again. A shooting, a race shooting apparently in Florida, and all kinds of stuff that they just keep throwing up, man. These people have a small playbook, but isn't it funny that nobody seems to learn the playbook, and they keep using the same tactics over and over and over again. The same tactics, the same boring, old, ridiculous tactics. And yet, a good percentage of the population believe everything that's coming out of these monkeys' mouths. So, oh God, I want to grow up and be a butthead like that. Drive down the road 100 miles an hour in a go-kart that's so damn loud, Anyway, that's what they remind me of. Those little cars that do all that remind me of go-karts. That's what they remind me of, cute little go-karts, little spinning wheels. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I love y'all. Prayers up. Derby Jack out. And do not live in fear, and do not die in fear. Derby Jack out. See you all on the other side.